everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I wasn't actually sure if I was gonna film this video, but since so many of you have been messaging me and asking me why I was on MTV and how I got on MTV and what the whole experience was like, I figured I would film this video so I can answer all of your questions and just kind of tell you about the experience. So I'll start with how I got on MTV to begin with. It's actually a really weird story and it was super spontaneous. I didn't even know that I was gonna be on MTV until a few hours before we left for the studio. So I had this one friend on Facebook who I had never actually talked to in real life. We went to the same high school together, but she was a few years ahead of me, so we never really got the chance to talk in person, but we had talked a few times online just about random things. Now, a couple days before this whole experience, I had seen her post something on Facebook about how she was waiting for an email from MTV Casting. Apparently she had applied to be a member of the live studio audience for a special they were filming on the Jonas Brothers, but they don't really let all that many people in, so she was hoping for a confirmation email but wasn't really expecting one. So I had commented on the post basically just wishing her luck and saying how awesome it would be if she got to have that opportunity. And we ended up talking about it more throughout the day, but by the end of the day she was pretty sure that she wasn't going to get a confirmation email just because MTV Casting had said that all of the emails should be sent out by the end of that day. So the next morning she checked her email and she had actually received an email from MTV Casting saying that she'd been chosen to be part of the live studio audience for that episode, and that she was allowed to bring one person. So later that night I got a message from her saying that she knows I'm a fan of the Jonas Brothers too, and basically just asking me if I wanted to be her +1 for the filming of this episode. Now, I knew that this episode was being filmed the next day, but it was actually crazy how fast all of this ended up happening, because basically right after she messaged me asking if I wanted to go, I had to immediately start getting ready. So I wasn't able to get any sleep that night, and neither of us actually ended up sleeping for the next 35-ish hours after that, so it was definitely insane, but honestly it was so worth it. Now, you're probably wondering why I had to start getting ready so soon if the filming didn't start until the next day, but with how far the studio was from my house and how early they were starting the filming, we actually ended up having to leave my house by around midnight the night before they started filming. So my friend got to my house at around midnight, we took my car to Albany and parked there at around 1:30 a.m. and then we took a 2 a.m. bus to New York City and got to the MTV studio at around 5 a.m. So by the time we got there was already one person there waiting, and she had been waiting there since about 4:30 in the morning. She was awesome. We ended up talking to her the entire time we were waiting in line, which ended up being about 5 hours. And as awful as that sounds, the time actually went by really quickly. We met so many amazing people in that line, and we just ended up talking the whole time. So the only thing about that 5-hour wait that wasn't the best was we ended up sitting on the sidewalk because our legs were getting tired. And if any of you have ever sat on a sidewalk in New York City, it's not the cleanliest thing. And where we were on the sidewalk, we ended up sitting next to this big spot that was probably either ketchup or blood. But we made it through the 5 hours, and at about 10 a.m. the MTV crew started coming out and checking us in. They had a list of the names of everyone who had received a confirmation email, so if you weren't on the list, you didn't get in. Now, as we were getting checked in, everyone on the list got one of these MTV wristbands, and then we headed into the building to get our bags checked and fill out some paperwork. Now, after we were done with all of that, we headed upstairs to the level that the studio was on, and we handed in all of our backpacks and any other items that we had because we weren't allowed to bring anything into the studio. And then we waited in the waiting area for a little while until they brought us in and sat us all the way around the studio. Once we were all in there and sat down, they actually started filming just the live studio audience for quite a while so they could have reactions and things like that to use throughout the show. So they would actually ask us to do things like laughing or acting sad or acting happy so that they could add those reactions in during editing if they didn't like the real reactions that we gave. They would also just play random Jonas Brothers songs and then film us singing and dancing around so they could have extra footage to use as fillers, especially in the beginning of the episode. But once we were done with all of that, they finally brought in the Jonas Brothers and started interviewing them for the episode. It was also really cool to be able to see the interview in person and hear all of their full answers before all of the cuts and edits that are made for the episode to air on TV. We also got the chance to talk to the Jonas Brothers a few times throughout the night, because a lot of times when the cameras were off, they would turn around and have conversations with the audience. Now, anyone who knows me really well probably knows that Nick has always been my favorite Jonas Brother, but after this whole experience, I can definitely say that my favorite Jonas Brother has changed to Kevin. Honestly, the entire time we were there, it kind of just seemed like Nick would rather be anywhere else. He wouldn't answer any of our questions, and anytime any of us would address him directly, he would just turn around and glare at us. Joe and Kevin were both great, but specifically Kevin, anytime he got the chance, he would turn around and have conversations with us, and he just looked like he was having a great time. And if you watched the episode when it aired, you'll notice that the entire audience agreed, because when the question brought up of who the best Jonas brother was, the entire audience started chanting Kevin. But other than that, we basically just watched them film the rest of the episode, and then we hung out around the city for the rest of the day. I'm not entirely sure if there's anywhere online that you can watch the full episode, but I know that there's at least one clip on the MTV YouTube channel, so if anybody wants to watch that and see if they can find me in the background, I'll leave a link in the description below. But anyways guys, that's it for this video, so if you liked it, make sure you give it a big thumbs up, hit the subscribe button down below to become a Toridactyl, and leave me a comment letting me know what I should do for future videos. As always, I'll leave the links to my social media in the description below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!